Hey, what's up, man? We're gonna speak about this $1 trillion COVID relief bill that was just passed. How long ago was that now?
2-3 days.
2 or 3 days ago. How 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill aims to help black and socially disadvantaged farmers.
Socially disadvantaged farmers.
Now, yeah,
That's a separation.
Yeah, and socially disadvantaged. That means everybody else too. So it's not really just for you. The provision, which was drawn from the Emergency Relief for Farmers of Color Act, was inserted into the relief package and includes $5 billion that would go to socially disadvantaged farmers of color. This include Black, Hispanic, Native American, or Asian American farmers. $4 billion would go toward covering up to 120% of outstanding debt, and $1 billion in designated for outreach, training, education, technical assistance, and grants. So basically, they're not just going to cover the loan you took, but the interest as well.
Yep.
So they're going to, hey, these people kind of mad about this.
It's some white people that's mad about this for sure. They're upset, saying why only do black people and what did they name it? Socially disadvantaged.
Yes.
What is socially disadvantaged?
That's weird. Socially disadvantaged. You mean economically?
I would think the better term would be black and socially, not socially, but economically disadvantaged.
I don't know
people.
But it says socially, which means anybody that's not white. It's part of a
anybody that's not white, or a white man specifically. That's who they're targeting.
He pointed out that white women ain't getting nothing either. It's part of the $10.4 billion provided in the package for agricultural and food supply sectors. Democrats hailed the inclusion of relief for farmers of color as vital to addressing historic inequalities, particularly for black farmers whose numbers have declined and who have faced discrimination. We know farmers have been through a lot of hell.
I just found out that I think in the early 1900s, black people own 14% of land in America, which is ironic because we're supposed to be 14% of the population right now.
Yeah.
Which means it was less of us then, and we had more land.
Yeah. Senator Pat Tomey said it was unconstitutional and argued that Congress should not pass aid that would go toward only those of the right race. Ain't that something? Remember in the late 1800s when y'all were just passing land out, just giving land to white people, just go out on the land and pick a spot and it's yours. Giving land.
They were like Oprah, you get one, you get one, you get one.
And y'all stopped Negroes from getting land.
You never gave us our 40 acres and a mule.
We didn't even talk about the 40 acres and a mule. That's when they were just trying to get people to move out west.
Well,
they were white people land.
They were literally chasing black people off of their farms.
Yeah, they was doing all kind of conniving stuff to get the land from underneath them. But yeah, we're gonna go down further. No proof of income or loss incurred due to the COVID is needed to qualify. Just skin color when you come to this country. Tomey said in a tweet decrying the provision. A white farmer struggling to get by in Appalachia. Ain't that in
North Carolina
or West Virginia?
It's upper North Carolina and lower
West Virginia,
and then some like eastern Kentucky, eastern Kentucky, that area.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cause I know there's a video going around about that.
Yeah, it's that
incest.
It's like the four corners of those states. Those mountain areas.
Cops don't go up there or anywhere else in the nation. It's disqualified because of his skin color. Is that what the Democrats have in mind for racial equality? It's funny you said that. It's in 2010, Congress approved a settlement for $1.2 billion in what is known as the Pickford case. Excuse me. After thousands of black farmers have received payments as part of a class action settlement in 1999 to address claims that the USDA denied loans and other assistance because of race, the USDA has faced accusations of discrimination for decades. When they won $1.2 billion.
Yep.
They settled, should I say. So
they definitely settled.
Well, it's here right there. Congress approved a settlement. So, I mean, it kind of proved the point right there, don't it? But yeah, they acting like they mad that aid has been given to people of color, quote unquote. But the way they passed this bill, they try to paint it off as it was for black farmers,
people.
But it's actually for any farmer that's not white.
Pretty
Really.
much, and they do that all the time. They use black people to get stuff to the door and get it passed, and then they add on these other minority groups.
Yep, to give them something. Relief bill is the most significant legislation for black farmers since Civil Rights Act, expert says.
But once again, the title keeps saying black farmers, but if you go into the article, it got everybody and their mama in the article.
This is the most significant piece of legislation with respect
Except
to the art of black land ownership in this country, said Tracy Lloyd McCurdy, executive director of the Black Belt Justice Center, which provides legal representation to farmers. Black farmers in America have lost more than 12 million acres of farmland over the past century, most since 1950s, as a result of what agricultural experts and advocates for black farmers say is a combination of systematic racism, biased government policy, and social and business practices that have denied African Americans equitable access to markets. Well, that's nothing new. They've been doing that long before then. Man, the sharecropping thing was so rotten. It was almost like a what they call it, a loan shark. You get some land to grow, and the stuff you grow, they get a percentage of it.
Yeah.
On the land.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they can just take the land whenever they want to.
And the thing was, black farmers were excellent.
Yeah.
Because that's what they had trained you to do. They trained you to, even though we were doing that before.
Yeah.
They brought us over here, but they had knowledge and skill.
Yeah.
To do that type of stuff. So just imagine
if you would have kept that land, how much
imagine
wealth,
if they would have never took away that land, who would be controlling
the whole farming market?
It would be black people.
Today, the average farm operated by African Americans is about 100 acres compared to the national average of about 440 acres, according to the last farmer census. The Center of American Progress found that in 2017, the average full-time white farmer brought in $17,190 in farm income, while the average full-time black farmer made just $2,408.
Yeah,
they just eating.
They living on. They're at the bottom.
They work to get back to work. They make enough money to get back to work, pretty much. So they don't really make a profit. For generations, socially disadvantaged farmers. That word go again. Socially disadvantaged farmers. And now they're not talking about just black farmers no more. Have struggled.
They done moved on.
Yeah, to fully succeed due to systematic discrimination and a cycle of debt. Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack said in a statement Saturday.
So socially disadvantaged farmers. So if we talk about Native Americans, they on the reservations. They have their own land, don't they?
Well, they say that the land is very poor. They have no electricity, water.
Why doesn't it have electricity and water? Don't they get income?
I don't know. Obviously, they were given some shitty land and kind of got fucked over with all the treaties, and allegedly that was broken. So they broke all their promises to them too. But this time, Vilsack dude, he has a history. After when Biden first gave him the job, a lot of black farmers did not want him in the office because he actually was one of the people that made a accusation against the Sherrod, I think that's her name. She wanted this job here, the agriculture secretary. And she was accused of being racist in a cut up video that Breitbart posted. And Tom and the Obama administration helped get her up out of here. And after the fact, when the full video was released, they had to apologize for what they did.
So they didn't even look at the full video before?
It was an edited up video and they went with it. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's crazy now that he got this job and they're trying to pass him on as this super woke guy now. It's like.
That's how they always do it.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. But of the 3.4 million farmers in the United States today, only 45,000 are black. According to the USDA, down from 1 million a century ago. Black farmland ownership peaked in the 1910 at 16 to 19 million acres, about 14% of total agricultural land, according to the Census of Agriculture. A century later, 90% of that land has been lost. White farmers now account for 98% of the acres, according to the USDA data. Man, oh man, it does my heart good to know that my 91-year-old father is allowed to see what he's been trying to accomplish for the last 30 years come to fruition. As Abraham Carpenter, a black farmer from Grady, Arkansas, he said that the debt relief represents a lifelong dream for many black farmers.
Now look at this. They're only giving this little amount of money, and he's
It's
grateful for something.
$5 billion. Get rid of my debt. Don't have to give me more money. Get loans. Just give you debt. Just get rid of this debt.
Because he don't want to pass the debt. He does not want to pass down debt to his next generation.
Yep. Now this is where McCurdy went too far to me. McCurdy and others used the word reparations as a term of financial restitution to descendants of enslaved people when speaking of the efforts to erase black farmers' debt and provide access to land. Democrats have increasingly called in recent years for payments and other compensation for African Americans for the long-term effects of slavery and segregation. It's reparations, but it's more than that. It is historic, McCurdy said. When black farmers did acquire land through our own grit and determination, the USDA did what they could to erode those gains. Once again, black farmers, because of their dedication to organizing, have created liberation for farmers of color. How is it reparations is for everybody? Anyway.
See, that's the problem. No, we have to hold our own people accountable when they say shit like this. You just pretty much saying black people always lead the way for ourselves, and then we include everybody else in it. Yep. Give us a pat on the back because we're selfless. We need to be selfish.
Our farmers are due a field of flowers for the sorrow they've carried. Now, this is where William Darity came in and kind of smacked that. William Darity, a professor of public policy at Duke University who has studied reparations extensively, said that the $5 billion allocation is at most 2% of the lost wealth, and that it does not constitute reparations. I agree. The best estimates I have seen of the economic loss to black farmers due to USDA policy and overall process of land appropriation by whites has been between 250 and 350 billion. This is approximately 10% of the total black wealth in the U.S., about 2.5 trillion, he said. The notion that this approach is a program of reparations is nonsense. Reparations for black American descendants of slavery must be designed to eliminate the gulf to black and white wealth. Now, that reparations word was also thrown around by Lindsey Graham. When Lindsey Graham went on Fox News and pretty much went on a rant about those the money being given to black farmers, we're gonna take a look at the video here.
None of it's got nothing to do with COVID, but let me give you an example of something that really bothers me. In this bill, if you're a farmer, your loan will be forgiven up to 120% of your loan, not 100%, but 120% of your loan if you're socially disadvantaged, if you're African American, some other minority, but if you're white person, if you're a white woman, no forgiveness. That's reparations. What does that got to do with COVID? So if you're in the farming business,
he letting the white woman know in this instance you're not a minority when in this category. You with the white man again.
Right now, this bill forgives 120% of your loan based on your race. These people in the Congress today, the House and the Senate on the Democratic side, are out of control liberals. And God help us all if we don't check and balance them in 2022.
So that was his comment.
He said we ain't gonna be able to do it this year, but we may get a handle on it next year.
Yeah. This is the article of picking Vilsack would have negative repercussions in the two razor-thin Senate races in Georgia. Black voters, and particularly rural black voters, they have not forgotten that Shirley Sherrod, that's her name, the former head of USDA Rural Development in Georgia and a well-respected civil rights leader, was wrongfully forced out of her job under Vilsack's leadership after a deceptively edited video featured on Breitbart falsely suggested she was racist. Once the full video of Sherrod's remarks came to light, both Vilsack and the White House apologized for pushing her out. Emails later showed that the White House had been very involved in Sherrod's firing, even though the officials denied this at the time. But that ain't the biggest thing that came out from these relief bill. The natives, so while the black farmers and really anybody not white farmers receive $5 billion, the Native Americans receive $31.2 billion
for
tribal governments and Native American communities.
Now we have this little pot of change. We got little change, and they over here dipping in our little change. And they got a big ass cut over here, but they still over here. They can dibble and dabble. When they use up their little change, they can come and get ours.
Yep. The bill, which is expected to pass the House and be signed into law by President Joe Biden as soon as this week, includes more than $31.2 billion for tribal governments and Native communities. This will go directly for helping American Indians, Alaskan natives, and Native Hawaiians focus on economic recovery in their communities devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, to the Hebrew Israelites, what are they trying to tell us? What people did they say? They said Native Americans. Who else?
American Indians, Alaskan natives, and Native Hawaiians.
I think those people are Mongoloid. Are they Hebrew Israelites? Are they Gad? They seem to not have problems with getting anything. It's just African Americans seems to be the problem with getting stuff. But we're all lumped into the curses together.
Most of the money in the relief package targeted at Native communities, or roughly $20 billion of the $32 billion, will go straight to tribal governments to help them tackle COVID-19 and stabilize safety net programs.
And they're corrupt. I bet you they're corrupt.
What do you mean?
The tribal leaders. They probably taking the money, pocketing the money, and not giving it to the people in the tribes.
As you can see, the money went a lot of places. More than $1.2 billion will go to tribal and Native Hawaiian housing programs under the Department of Housing and Urban Development. There's another $1 billion. The money went a lot of places for them. Then we got the Asian and Pacific Islander American Health Forum. Applause Congress for including Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in the COVID-19 relief package passed last night.
Once again,
the Hawaiians is in there twice.
Hawaiians, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, Asian Americans, all lumped in. Who are these people? These people seem to look alike. They keep lumping these people in together. What are they trying to tell us? I think they're the same people.
The relief package includes many of the API HLs. That's a long ass. Damn. Long-term priorities include reinstating medical eligibility for COFA communities. Judith K. Choi, Chief Executive Officer of RATE, released the following statement. It has taken 25 years to correct a legislative error that skipped Medicaid for the COFA community. Once the legislation is enacted, tens of thousands of COFA families will finally be able to breathe a sigh of relief as they can regain eligibility to and access Medicaid. Then got another little check got passed out. Now they didn't get as much. They didn't give them as much. Hispanic Federation, $3.6 million in COVID-19 emergency aid awarded to Hispanic Federation to 173 community-based organizations in 16 states and Puerto Rico. So they definitely gonna turn Puerto Rico into a state of some
They
point.
definitely and with this they definitely divided this up into.
They cut it up.
They cut it up into a lot of places.
The Hispanic Federation announced $3.6 billion emergency grants. We already read that, but this is what I want to go to now. This is where all the money went.
Yeah, they literally divided
10,000, 25,000. They cut this up, but I want to show y'all something way down here that they did. Oh. Look at this. Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, 25,000 to support the work and mission of Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, which is the only social justice organized by Black trans people working to improve the Black transgender human experience. Black Women's Blueprint, national and transnational, to support the work and mission of Black Women's Blueprint, which is a Black feminist organization that engages in progressive research, policy advocacy, historical documentation, and organizing to build the power of Black women and girls.
Black women are finally separated from the Black man.
They got
in the fucking Hispanic relief. How the fuck did y'all get in there?
I don't know. They just stood at the bottom.
You know what? I was scrolling through that when I did not see that this morning. I did not go all the way to the bottom.
I definitely peeped it.
What the fuck?
I don't even know.
Black women, we got something on your ass again. How the fuck did y'all get into fucking Hispanics?
Federation. It's a Hispanic.
Y'all been with Jesus and somebody y'all been fucking with somebody in that damn organization to get some money. I don't know who it was.
But we're gonna move on to this little fun article here. This article was actually from earlier this year, January 3rd.
I think we talked about this in another video, but we had.
I'm not sure. Maybe a COVID relief fund was only for Black residents. Then came the lawsuits. Now this whole article. Remember when the CARES Act was released?
Yeah.
The states had the option to where the money go. So Oregon decided out of their money they want to give 62 million. I think it's 1 point something billion. No, sorry. I think they got a couple.
They wanted to give.
Yeah, they got 1.4 billion, and they wanted to give 62 million to directly for only black residents.
And the reason why they wanted to do that was because a lot of black people who lived in Oregon, in particular neighborhoods, I think it was in like the 1980s, 1970s, they were what's the word we use?
Gentrified, right?
Gentrified to leave out of their neighborhood. So now what they're doing is they're trying to get the black people back in the neighborhood.
I don't think they're trying to get them back. I think more so they're trying to fake like they actually get.
Yeah, they're trying to fake. You know what you know how they do black people? They push us in the inner city, then they push us back to the suburbs. They just do switcheroo.
When the suburbs get run down, they run you to the inner cities. Then when the inner city get built up with a stadium or something, when they become more expensive, they push you back out to the suburbs. That's like a every 10 years thing. They do it. It was finally been, if we've been honest, this is who needs the support right now, said Lou Frederick, a state senator who was black. They had to point that out, didn't they? So you got I think it's 2 white men and a Mexican American.
Yep.
Sued them and said that this is racial discrimination.
Esau and Issachar came together. Because the Mexicans are Issachar.
So because it's they sued and they saying it's racial discrimination and all this stuff. The stakes are dire. Nearly $50 million worth of grants have been awarded, but a court has frozen $8.8 million. The remaining amount, minus administrative costs, until the litigation is resolved, a process that could take years. Now, I think the deadline to spend the money is to the end of the year. If they don't spend it by the end of the year, the money goes back to the government.
So they rather for the money to go back to the government than give it to black people?
That's what it seemed like. Now, keep in mind, I think the money that they got only right here. Some black residents who make up about 2% of the state's population said that the argument was a distraction. As a state, as a country, it's unusual for us to provide adequate resources to black people. Harmon Johnston, the resident and chief executive of the Urban League of Portland. For some folks, it's shocking. It's distasteful. So now the money, the 62 million out of the 1.4 billion, they're like, man, this ain't counting for nearly enough for y'all to be complaining. There's more than enough to go around. What y'all doing? Like, what we doing here? And they like, no, you can't just give it just to black people.
I'm not gonna do anything just for black people. Who said that? Who said that?
This is one of the guys that is suing. This is Edward Blum, a conservative activist whose organization is underwriting a lawsuit challenging the fund. Said the group's opposition was about preventing racial exclusion.
But the Asian people, they do the same thing. I think it was in California. They were I think they were boycotting. Some were boycotting the affirmative action because they don't benefit them when it comes to colleges.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they are the ones that's filling up the colleges, and they're like, fuck no.
Yeah,
They practically white when it comes to that.
Them and white people sue Ivy League colleges because they felt like the quota based scholarships
it's unfair.
Disadvantaged them. Which remember when Native Americans, weren't they buying up prisons? Didn't they buy a prison in California? I'm gonna make sure
we gotta look that up.
When I look it up, I'll put it in the video. But yeah, this is nothing new. The point of all this is you got $5 billion, and they made sure to spread that money out. Now the $5 billion for you is just for the farmers, not just black farmers, but farmers. The money they getting going into community programs, housing programs, they getting money into their community, not just farms.
I would say black people need to wake up and realize that we're in this together. And stop letting these people use you, these other communities use you to get things passed for them, because when they go out and fight, they're fighting for themselves. They're not fighting for black people. And black women need to come back. We fucking saw you included in a fucking bill that don't got shit to do with you.
You still on that, ain't you? You surprised by that, wasn't
you? I'm shocked.
I don't know, man.
And I'm really, not only was it black women, black trans. Yeah. What does that have to do with Hispanic people?
I don't know. Maybe that's for Afro Latinas.
Oh yeah, they could just nigga out us.
It didn't say it has an Afro Latina in there.
It's
So,
very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange that they would separate Afro Latina, and it's supposed to be a Hispanic bill.
Those are organizations.
Okay,
Yeah,
organizations.
so Afro Latino
So
organizations.
are those two organizations doing something for Hispanic?
I don't know. It
people?
said it's a black feminist organization and a trans organization, a black trans organization. I don't know.
Yeah, we got to wake up. Stop letting these other communities use us.
Yeah,
It's
Well.
ridiculous.
let's see when they wake up from that sleep. But anyway, that's our opinion on that part of the bill. Because there's a lot more places that money went. Last time they sent money to the Middle East. For,
And even in that bill, even in this COVID emergency, I saw them doing something for Arabic people too.
yeah, I saw that too. Arab people.
So are Arabs? Are they trying to tell us something about the Arabs? They are mixed people.
They just seem to be giving money all over the place because they want to stabilize the economy because 40% of the dollars that's going to be used this year will be through this relief plan. That's not good for your economy. That means anybody making no money. So somebody
You notice
they
that
got
the
to find a way
pennies-
to give you money so you can spend. But
The pennies are smaller.
ain't they made out? Is they still made out of copper?
I don't know what the fuck they made of anymore.
But anyway, man, that's our breakdown of that. Black farmers got a little bit of the pie, and they
They ain't get shit,
people
dude.
still angry with them.
They ain't get shit.
But yeah. Anyway, man, all praise to the Most High and peace.